Hello, my name is Yogendra Joshi. I have been doing macro photography for last few years and I have learned a few things during that period which I would like to share with everyone. When people start into the world of photography, they generally do not venture into macro photography. They are told that they cannot get a good shot without a dedicated macro lens, which is expensive. And even if they had a macro lens, it's anyway difficult to chase insects and get a good shot for them. This macro photography tutorial series is aimed at existing and new photographers with the aim of helping them to get great macro results with whatever equipment they can afford. Before you get deep into the tutorial series, if you want to check my work, you are welcome to visit yogendraphotography.com. The links are available in the details section of this video. I would like to welcome everyone into the world of sheer beauty and sheer creepy. I would like to welcome you in the world of master predators and caring parents. In this world, you will find beauty in the water drops and in the flowers. And this world is not just limited to the nature. You can find beautiful macro subjects lying around in your house, be it a paper, be it soap bubbles, or it could just be a rusting bolt in your garage. Let's try to define what is macro photography. When we say we are taking macro, what it essentially means is we are bringing our subjects really close to the sensor and the lens, and the physical proximity of the subject with the sensor creates magnification. That's what is called macro photography. In technical terms, if your subject is able to make an image of the equal size or the larger size on your sensor, it is known as true macro. In practical terms, the X magnification factor really does not matter. What matters is if you are able to get really close to your subject and capture amazing details while also taking a look at the composition and capturing the beauty really well. Are there different types of macro photography? Well, yes. Depending on the level of magnification, you can split the type of macro photography into close up, true macro, wide angle macro, or micro photography. Close ups are typically the flowers or large insects which are between 3 and 6 centimeter. They are not true macro. They do not provide a 1:1 magnification, but still they look beautiful. True macro includes the work of reproducing 1:1 or higher magnification. So obviously it involves the subjects which are smaller than your sensor. So subjects ranging between 3 to 4 millimeters to couple of centimeters are included in this range. Of course, these are not watertight compartments. We really do not care whether something is a true macro or a close-up macro. What matters is if you are able to get sufficient details and if the shot looks beautiful or not. The next type is wide angle macro, and this is a new type of macro which is being developed recently. In this type, you take a tiny subject and along with showing the details on the subject, you also show the landscape behind it. There are special lenses which are being made like 15 wide angle macro which are able to capture these details really well. The last type is micro photography or photomicrography. Here, the photographer has to use a microscope and attach his camera to that microscope and take images through that. Or some people use microscope objectives to take 50x or 100x magnification. Really tiny subjects or just one part or one eye of the subject is generally included in this type of a photography. I have been doing macro photography passionately for last few years and I've learned from various people and I've also done a lot of experiments. Whatever learning that I've got, I really like to share with everyone who's interested in macro photography. This photography tutorial is another attempt at sharing whatever knowledge I have gained over the years. One of the important reasons I do macro photography is that it takes me closer to the nature. Actually really close to the nature. I did not start off as a naturalist, but over the years doing macro photography, I have developed a special relationship with nature, and nature which is typically hidden from our eyes. I consider macro photography as my meditation. When I walk through the bushes looking for insects and photographing them early in the morning, the time literally stops for me. Now you would ask, is macro photography challenging? Now let's be honest. I've said a lot of good things about macro photography, but one thing is for sure, it is not easy. There are a lot of challenges you will face while taking macros. Well, it's difficult, but hey, then what's the fun without the difficulty level? The fact that it is difficult and challenging, that's what really makes it going. Now let me share various challenges which keep macro photography away from people. First challenge is, how do you achieve magnification? While there are hundreds of lenses which are dedicated for macro photography, all of them are really expensive. Hopefully at the end of this macro photography tutorial series, I will be able to share you a lot of other alternative ways you can use to achieve great macro results. The next is depth of field. In macro, the depth of field is razor thin, and every time you increase the magnification, it really goes thinner. That makes it very challenging to focus the right way on the subject. Well, the next challenge is focusing, and focusing is a nightmare in macro photography. Even if you have a dedicated macro lens, it's a challenge to use the autofocus once you reach 1:1 magnification or higher. Now in this macro series, we'll also learn various techniques you can use to achieve perfect focus. The next challenge is light. Now, would the natural light be sufficient? Well, not exactly. With natural light, even in the broad daylight, the exposure that you get may not be sufficient to capture the insects, leave alone the moving and the flying insects. See, I have been doing macro photography for over 6 years, and almost 100% of my shots have been achieved without using a tripod, all handheld. Now you would ask, how do I achieve that? That's exactly what we are going to learn through this photography series. Now the next challenge is working distance. Now let's see what is working distance. Working distance is how far is your lens from your subject. You don't want to be too far and you don't want to be too close as well. Now with a dedicated macro lens like a 100 mm macro, you get good working distance, but the problem is it stops at 1:1. Now as far as alternate equipment is concerned, like all of these that we are going to discuss in the next episodes, each of the alternate equipment comes with its own unique challenges as far as the working distance is concerned. Something like a reversal ring, you need to be really close. But using something like a Renox adapter, you can have a good working distance. Now another point about light. Whenever you use any of the alternate equipment, almost each one of them hog light. And you need to manage your light based on the alternate equipment you're going to use. Now what about the learning curve? Well, let's be honest, it's going to be a learning curve. You will not get as many shots as you get in other forms when you're starting into macro photography. But it's a learning curve. As you do more, you will start getting better results. And after a couple of months, I'm sure just with couple of hours of field session, you will come back with beautiful shots. Now what about the subject? Well, that's a challenge too. While there are so many subjects everywhere to do macro photography, it takes a bit of time to develop an eye to find the right subject to do macro photography with. Hopefully at the end of this tutorial series, I will be able to help you avoid or at least manage most of these challenges. If you have liked this video tutorial, do feel free to like, subscribe and share. And hopefully you will come back for the next tutorial. Happy shooting!